So if you ordered a new sled with high elevation clutching, but you're planning on riding at a lower elevation, you're gonna wanna put some heavier weights in the primary and possibly change out the primary spring. So I ordered some Bikeman Snypr weights and I've already put them in, but I'm gonna show you just how easy it is to change them out. So here's the Bikeman Snypr Clutch Kit for the Polaris Boost or the 9R. You can go onto their website and print off the instructions. Talk about those later. Tools you're gonna need, I like to use an impact with a 10mm socket. You need a 1/4 inch ratchet with a 3/8 inch deep socket. That's to get the nut off of the weight bolt. You're gonna need an 1/8 inch Allen to get the weight bolt out. When you retorque your clutch cover, you're gonna wanna use an inch-pound torque wrench that doesn't go too high. We're only using 100 inch-pounds, and a tool tray. So in your owner's manual, you can go to your clutching chart. And I ordered my sled with high elevation clutching, which is 7,000 to 9,000 feet. The factory weights were 1472s. The primary spring is a 140/330. And I'm not going to touch the secondary. So I primarily ride between 5,000 and 7,000 feet, so I need 1474s. I tried to order some from my dealer, but they couldn't get them in and they suggested I order SLP. So that's why I started looking at the Bikeman Clutch Kit. Also, we're going to be going down to Vancouver Island in March, and we'll be riding closer to 3,000 to 5,000, so I can increase some weight. Maybe put 76 or 78s. So question of the day. What do you think is in this bag right here? Comment below. Pull off this side panel. Okay, before you do anything, you got to take your belt off. You'll notice I have a little twist tie on my clutch removal tool. On my last sled, this tool did not fit in here very tight, and if the sled was idling, this would actually just fall right out. Looks like they fixed that for this year, or this is just a tighter one, but that twist tie will keep you from losing your little clutch tool. The new 24s have a clutch guard here, and you're gonna wanna take that out. It's pretty simple to take out, and I'll give you a couple tips later on how to put that back in without too much of a struggle. Just roll your clutch where that tool doesn't hit the plastic. I just open it up all the way until this hits the bolt there. Okay. It's a good time to inspect your belt too. Make sure there's no cracks in it or any fraying pieces of cord. Looks pretty good. Now that your belt's out, you're going to take your 10mm and I'm going to remove 2 of these bolts first. 2 opposite ones. I got this tip from Fire and Ice. You take a M6 by 1 by 50mm bolt, and you can use these for putting the cover back on, but you can also use it for taking the cover off. I'll show you how. So we're just going to put these in just a little ways. It's going to go easy. So what's going to happen is when I take this clutch cover off, the cover is going to stop at these bolt heads instead of just prying all the way off and wrecking the ends of the threads. You can use pressure too. I just find this is just a nice way to do it. see what I mean here. So as this one comes off, the cover's gonna hit those bolt heads. See, now this bolt is still in there and there's no pressure on it. When I take it out, it's not gonna strip the threads inside the clutch. Okay, so now there's almost very little tension on that. There actually is a way to do this without taking the cover off too. But you need a way of compressing the sheaves together, and then you need a little clamp to hold them together. That's how you can do it in the field. Oh yeah, so just remember that this Polaris star should line up with that X. Okay, there's no washer or anything in there. You can see this is a 140/330. This is the high elevation spring. It's already getting rusty. Now that with the belt off, it's really easy to get at your weights too. So you need an 1/8 inch Allen and then a 3/8 inch deep socket. The P22 has the metal machined away so you can get your socket in there nice. Pull one out. We're going to compare it to the factory weight. I like how these clips don't fall out. Like you can't really lose any parts on that. It's a nice setup. So this is the factory weight, this 1472, and this is the Bikeman Snypr weight. So it's the BMP 58 to 94. You see it's a fair bit wider than factory. Looks like they have pretty much the same profile. I was worried that with some of these weights, they might rub up against the spider on the inside here. I'm just gonna check actually right now. So if the weight is too wide, it might rub on this spider. The rollers, it's actually just touching the roller on the inside. You probably can't really see. But no, that's good, should be fine. So these Bikeman weights are fully customizable. You can add weight at the tip, midway. This is called the Snypr heel. And then there's a hole in the middle where you can put in a set screw. They give you different lengths of set screws, and they give you a tungsten slug that you can put in at the tip as well. So let's take this over to the bench and weigh them. So before I weigh them, I'm just going to show you this Bikeman Clutch Kit. It's just the same kit for the Boost and for the 9R. And it's pretty awesome because you can use this kit and get some pretty good calibration for sea level or all the way up to 7,500 feet like where we ride. So here's the kit it comes with. These are the factory weights. That's the Snypr weight there. It comes with some set screws and some tungsten slugs. So I highlighted the setting I'm gonna go with, or start with initially, and that is 6,000 plus feet. It's saying to use a long set screw at the heel. So what that means is you put a set screw in here, and there's 3 different lengths. There's short, medium, and long, and the long one's in there already. And I have it backed out just to the edge of this hole here, so I would say that that's the heel. For magnet placement, it says to put 2 in the first hole, 2 in the second hole, and then 1 in the last hole. It says to use their green primary spring. Everything's magnetic here. Let's move the magnets out of the way here. Stuck to everything. Here's these magnets as well. I got some extras so I could still add weight. It says to use their green primary screen and their black secondary spring. And so what that means is when you buy the Stage 1 kit, it comes with some Teflon washers for the secondary spring as well as 2 springs. So if I compare that to the factory settings, again, I had 72 gram weights in, and then a 140 preload and a 330. That's when you're all the way shifted out. Those are your spring rates. So my spring was a 140, 330. And I looked up what the bright green one was, and it was 150, which is what the sea level factory spring is, and then 340. So it's kind of a hybrid. But we're just going to use that factory spring, go from there. Okay, I'll just bring in our kitchen scale here. Hit 0. Here's our 72 gram weight that I pulled out of the primary. There it is, 72 grams. When I went with that factory 221, it weighed exactly 72 grams, which is the same as the factory weight. And so I want to go 74 grams. And so I put in 3 magnets, 1. They said lighter weight at the tip helps improve throttle response. And then just adding weight in general will lower your overall, like your peak RPM. So this should be about 74. Yeah, 74 grams. So we'll go from there. Just a little more information here for you. It says, most will find our initial setup the best for your application. However, some adjustment may be needed. If you're loading multiple weights, load the shorter weight to the tip of the weight first, like I did. I did 1 at the tip. Start with all the weights toward the tip. Adding weight or shifting weight toward the tip will increase upshift and lower RPMs. With these weights, we have found that keeping the tip of the weight as light as possible increases throttle response. Start with the set screw weight at the tip and adjust toward the heel to achieve desired throttle response while maintaining the proper peak RPM. If your RPMs are too high, add weight. And so right on the sled, you should be able to get your Allen key in there. This is a 5/30 seconds, and you should be able to back that out without having to take the clutch apart. And so I have it so that just one thread was sticking out. Okay, another bit of information down here at the bottom. It says hole number 1. So that's this one. Hole number 1 is near the heel of the weight, and this hole will help pinch the belt right from the hole shot. Hole number 2 is the lower tip. Turbo sleds will use this hole to help loading the turbo. That's kind of cool. And then hole 3 is at the tip of the weight. This hole will be used for clutch shift out and help gain mile per hour or track speed. And then it says double stack Teflon washers on either side of the secondary spring. Those are the ones that come with the Stage 1 clutch kit. Okay, so let's go throw this back in, and then we're going to use the torque wrench to torque up those clutch cover bolts. Okay, let's put this weight back in, and we'll get that clutch cover back on. Nut. Righty tighty. Snug it up. Ding. Your spring back on. Make sure you line up the star with the X. Now you can just compress that while you're getting those first ones started. But again, I'm going to use this fire and ice trick, the longer bolt, Just get it started. Flip it around. Make sure that spring is on that properly. Okay, so with those longer bolts in, the factory shorter bolts, you can just get them started by hand now. Almost. Go a little further in. Make sure you still got all your washers on. With the impact, you don't want to drive them in super tight, because even one click with that impact, like one impact, and it's going to be over that 100 inch-pounds. Trust me. So I like to put them in kind of even. And then back these ones out. So just so it seats. And then we're going to put that torque wrench on. Set your torque wrench to 100 inch-pounds, which is not very much. Put our belt back on. Make sure you can read the numbers. So putting this guard back in can be a bit of a challenge the first time, but you just want to make sure that these get latched in first. Trying to get this to latch into there, but when you push in, you can see the metal's flexing away. So tip of the day. Take some pliers and re-pinch this metal part right here closer together, so that when you put in this little quarter turn, it can actually grab onto something. So that was part one, just getting the Snypr weights installed. Part two will hopefully be this weekend when we can do some testing. On my first 4 rides, I was revving about 87 to 87.50, so it is clutched for a little too high elevation than where we ride. On my last ride though, we were revving about 8,600 RPM, but it was a warmer day, pretty humid, and the snow was really heavy. So conditions can really affect your RPM. Hopefully that helped. We'll see you next time.